We are back in the year 1983, continuing our look at the G.I. Joe toy line by Hasbro. Previously, we took a look at Cobra's two main villains, with the fanatical leader, Cobra Commander version 1.5, and the enemy weapon supplier, Destro. So now, it only seems right to check out some of G.I. Joe's main hero characters. The commanding officer of the G.I. Joe team is General Hawk, and the second in command is First Sergeant Duke. And today, we'll be taking a look at Duke, here on Creed's Collection. Hey, welcome back to another episode of Creed's Collection. Today we'll be checking out Duke from the 1983 G.I. Joe toy line by Hasbro. Conrad Duke Hauser is the acting First Sergeant of the G.I. Joe team and reports directly to, and only to, General Hawk. He is fluent in English, French, German, as well as several Southeast Asian languages. He has been an instructor in 4 different Special Forces schools and repeatedly turned down officer commissions, believing a commander's place is with his troops, not at a desk. And now that we know a little bit more about Duke, let's take a closer look. Duke is the lead hero character on the G.I. Joe cartoon. He's the equivalent of Optimus Prime, He-Man, or Luke Skywalker. He has a great face sculpt, and he's one of the few G.I. Joe figures that's actually smiling. Hey, you calm down, I'm the charming one here. So anyway, I really like his grenade here on the front, as well as his color scheme. The tan and green look really good together. Down on his leg, he has a sidearm, which I appreciate the detail, but I wish you could pull that out and put it in his hand. And then down here at the bottom, you can see his boots are pretty sweet, and he has a nice boot knife as well. Unfortunately, you can only use it through the power of imagination. As we come around to Duke's back, you can see the hole in his back where his backpack plugs in. We'll come back to that in a minute, but first, we're going to take a look at his articulation. Knees have a 90-degree bend, and the hip has a ball joint, which allows for some pretty nice flexibility and movement. There's a rubber band in the waist so he can flex back and forth. Shoulders can swivel around as well as out. Swivel arm battle grip added in Series 2 allows for some pretty nice movement there, and the head can turn left and right, and that is it. That covers all of Duke's articulation. Now we're going to go ahead and look at the included accessories like Duke's helmet, which is from Series 1 G.I. Joe. This was the helmet everybody wore. They just rolled it over into Series 2 for Duke. Hey, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. But seriously, Duke wearing a helmet's weird anyway because he literally never wore one ever on the cartoon. So if you're going for classic Duke, you wouldn't display him this way, but here's what he looks like with it on. Now here is Duke's backpack. It does have a bedroll wrapped around the top. It's got some pouches here for different equipment and then a shovel as well. Around here on the back, you can see the universal peg that can plug into any G.I. Joe. And it's pretty simple. You just take it and push it into their back like that. And there you go. Duke's gun is pretty amazing looking. I'm pretty sure it's a real world weapon. I couldn't figure out what it was, but it looks to be a submachine gun. I found several that matched it, but I could not confirm. I really like the stock here on the back. You got your handle here, and then your magazine is right here. I am 100% a sucker for the more realistic weapons and gear for G.I. Joes, and Duke's equipment is awesome. And it doesn't stop with his backpack and gun. He also has this great set of binoculars. They've got a bit of a curve to him right here, as well as in the strap, and that makes him sit around his neck a little more naturally. Or at least that was the idea. As you can see, they still stick out a little bit, but still looks pretty good. Now that we're done checking out Duke's gear, here's a look at his file card. If you'd like to read it, pause now. On Duke's bottom is his copyright information, made in Hong Kong, and on the inside of his left leg, 1983 Hasbro. And now for our He-Man size comparison. Even though Duke and He-Man aren't really in scale with each other, G.I. Joe used to dimensionally travel to Eternia all the time and explore Castle Grayskull. That was one of my favorite imaginary scenarios to run through as a kid. Thank you so much for taking the time to watch my toy retrospective for Duke from the 1983 toy line G.I. Joe by Hasbro. Duke was first available as a mail-away figure in 1983 and carded in 1984, But I got this figure later in life, so I don't know which one I have. So I just chose to do him as the 1983 version. If you enjoyed the video, please leave a thumbs up. And if you have any thoughts, please leave a comment. I love reading and responding to them. And while you're at it, if you haven't already, please consider subscribing. I'd really appreciate it, and it would help my channel grow. I do a retrospective on a toy from my vintage collection every Wednesday. So I hope to see you next week and every week after, here on KREED'S Collection.